It's fine, don't need to. I already done it once already, it's been recording both of them.
Sorry, I just did it again. Okay, and we're back for another episode. Now,
What
Dave Chappelle.
today, my friend?
Okay, let me start again.
Go ahead.
And here for another episode of
I'm just going to keep this all in, by the way.
and here for another episode of Off the Cuff. Anyway, it's off the cuff in it, so it's okay. So today we'll be discussing.
Can you stop kicking the light, please?
Yeah,
For God's sake.
I'll try, but I don't think it makes such a big difference anyway.
Guys,
Anyway, Dave Chappelle's latest show, Stick and Stones, got a lot of stick in the media recently. Forgive the pun.
lovely pun.
So, seeing the attention his special received, it's my informed opinion that no comedian today can generate as much controversy surrounding important societal and cultural topics.
Why is that? Why does this guy get stick for everything he does? Why? He's always getting in trouble.
And that's the point. So I think we should join in on the conversation because his show has started the conversation and is getting the internet buzzing at the moment, right?
Can I just start off and say that personally, I think Dave Chappelle is the best comedian.
Okay, but you can't start off with that, bro.
Why?
Because we need some informed opinion. We need to hear.
Right.
And this,
It's just my subjective opinion. I love Dave Chappelle. I think he's hilarious. I like watching his shows.
Yeah, but that's not very impartial, is it?
No, you're right.
All right. So
Fine.
why is he your favorite opinion? Your favorite?
Why do I like him?
Yeah, why do you like him?
To be honest, I've like, what was his first one? Was it Killing Me Softly? Killing Them Softly. Killing Them Softly, ages ago. Do you remember when he was a YouTube sensation, right? Around the time of Russell Peters and... No, what we're talking about, he came out in Def Comedy Jam first.
Yeah, he came out way back, bro.
Yeah, ages ago. Yeah, but his comedy style was very different and he was still very funny. But,
But I mean, you're right. I think his big stand-up one-man show that put him on the map was this Killing Him Softly.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I mean that was a fantastic.
That raised him to the level
straight after. Exactly. I just like his comedy style. I think that he does the thing a lot of comics do, stand-up comics do. He talks about race issues, right? I mean, it's easy to make. I mean, who doesn't talk about race issues, right? If it's black comedians, Indian comedians, all kinds of comedians will talk about that.
Not white comedians. They try to because they avoid the topic.
Yeah, but
when they do it, they don't do it well. They can't talk about the topic.
It's a difficult topic to talk about. Did you see that discussion around the round table discussion with Louis C.K.
that was
and
terrible.
Jerry Seinfeld?
Yeah, another one.
Not Kevin Hart.
No, it was Chris Rock.
And Ted Danson, I think.
I forgot who else was there. All I know is that was terrible.
It was terrible. So they were joking about race issues there. They if you haven't seen it,
and that's
on YouTube.
That's what I mean. You can't. I mean, look at the slack Chris Rock got for it. Look at the slack the others got for it.
Chris Rock get slack for it?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah, there was, especially in the black community. Everyone was saying on Black Twitter was going crazy. People were saying that he was
quiet, right?
for him not to have said anything. He didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't do anything. He didn't try to.
I mean, to be
put
honest,
the guy back in his place.
Offensive. I didn't think that was funny at all. I couldn't believe. To be honest, I like Jerry Seinfeld's take. Otherwise, I like. Ricky Gervais was there.
Ricky Gervais, that's the one. But these guys, they were going in.
Yeah, I know, but Jerry Seinfeld was the one I respected in there because he said I don't like that word. I don't see any reason to use it. But they were making jokes there and then. I was shocked. Yeah.
But see, that's what I mean. They don't.
But Louis C.K. didn't get any slack. Louis C.K. got slack over in front of somebody, right? I mean.
But that's one of the things that Dave Chappelle talks about during his show, right?
Exactly. All right. Yeah. So you asked me why I like Dave Chappelle. I think Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, we got a little bit off track,
it's all right.
off the cuff.
Yeah. How many puns are you going to do in the next 10 minutes, bro? Just can you let the viewers know now so we're prepared? In Japanese we call that oyaji gagu.
Oyaji gagu.
Stop kicking the light. Okay, anyway. Dave Chappelle, I like the topics he touches.
Yeah.
I think he talks about very important social issues.
Yeah.
And I think he brings a lot of humour to them. But a little bit too much humour in some people's opinions. For me...
A little bit too much humor?
I mean, yeah.
Or you mean...
Yeah, but I mean, that's how some people...
Or he's making fun of things that are not supposed to be made fun of, is what people are saying.
Yeah.
So, what I like, the point you said, culture. I think he's relevant for the culture. And he's been... And this is consistent throughout his first shows as well. He's been doing a lot. There's the intersection between comedy and hip hop, and he found a good sweet spot between the two, right? And now what he did in his latest special is he also introduced, some influencer as well of hip hop with hip hop, which is Prince.
Is Prince hip hop?
Not that it is hip hop, but he influenced
It's more pip
the
pop.
music. It's what? Pimp pop.
Pip pop. No, I didn't say pip pop. It's pop, bro. Come on.
Talk about Oyaji Gago.
Go ahead. No.
But he's influenced the hip hop culture that today. Prince did a big job at influencing it, right?
Yeah.
And he starts his special with 1999 with a quote from 1999 of that song, and that's how he goes into it.
What was that quote? I mean, can you remember it? Do you have it?
Yeah, I can even play the song if you want.
No. But what was he discussing? What was the significance of Prince's song?
So I just think he's describing the times that we're going into. 1999. It was at the time where everyone was talking about 2000s, how the year is going to be the Y2K bug. Everything was going to be the end of the world. There was all these doomsday apocalypse visions of the world after 2000. No one knew what was going to happen, and so that's what he was describing. And I think it's the age of the internet, basically. And
is that what the song's about? I mean, I've heard the song many times, but I've never really paid attention to the lyrics. Is it about that? How things? I remember there is a verse in there or a sentence that says.
To be honest with you, I think it's about how you. It's about how you exactly. It's about how you interpret it. That's how I interpret it. I think it's for me the way I listen to the lyrics, and the music. I think he's talking about exactly this, the fears that people had coming into the year 2000.
I see. Is that
and ushering into this new internet age? This is how Dave Chappelle interprets it. So that's again my take. I don't know if you.
Okay. No, I don't.
The lyrics.
Honestly, I don't know Prince's music so well.
Yeah.
I've always preferred listening to Michael Jackson, but anyway, that's a different topic for a different.
Yeah, different day.
Exactly.
Same on same. Just to say same.
On the same.
On the level.
Very different. Anyway, okay, right. Save it. Go ahead. So go on.
Similar. Let's leave it at that.
But then, now we said Michael Jackson. I think Dave Chappelle, he makes a few jokes about the Michael Jackson situation.
Yeah, but before he gets into this, though, just to give an overview of how he starts, right? So for people who haven't watched it, so the first thing is that he talks about Anthony Bourdain.
Sweating, man.
Yeah, about his suicide.
It's hot. Yeah,
it's PG tips.
PG tips is hot. It's making me sweat. Go on.
So he talks about Anthony Bourdain and his suicide.
Yeah,
that's a little bit of a harsh topic to start a comedy sketch on. So I give you that. And the pun or the joke he makes, without trying to.
No more puns, please.
Okay, sorry. Okay, but the joke he makes is that he's got a friend who was also on his way to success, and then he, struck down on his luck. Quit Harvard, is now working at Foot Locker as a manager in Foot Locker. But he's perfectly happy with his life.
He never once considered.
And he never even considered suicide.
The thought of suicide never crossed this guy's mind.
And he even suggested it. He even suggested, how about you just, So that's the joke he makes. So it's the topic is not a funny topic to laugh about, but the point he's making
is basically, it doesn't matter how much money you have, doesn't matter.
It's happiness.
With the level of celebrity you attain.
So then that's the question.
You're always going to be happy. You're
exactly.
not bliss, right? Yeah. Well, I totally agree with that. To be honest, man.
That's what I was going to say. Is happiness conferred by social status
or money?
Yeah. And I think for Dave Chappelle, I think it makes sense if you know his career, or if you followed his career, right? Because he's been, at that time where he left the Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah.
And people were saying, is he gone crazy? Has this happened to him? That and whatever. People were just making all sorts of rumors about his mental health. You remember when he went to South Africa and chilled? But he came back, and in a lot of interviews he's been saying, there's something fundamentally wrong with Hollywood, and he just couldn't be around it. So he lives out in a farm.
Was in a coma.
Exactly. Martin Lawrence was like, he was the best sleep I've ever had. Things like that, right? Like where they're saying that there's something fundamentally wrong about the pressures that come with being.
And I think Dave Chappelle knows a lot more as well, but obviously he's not willing. He's still a public figure. He's still a celebrity. You can't say a lot of things, just like a lot of celebrities do, right? I understand that. Yeah, but he came back, man. Dave Chappelle came strong.
Strong.
When he came back, he said he was only going to stick to small venues, and which he did. He did a few small venues.
Well, he did. He was here.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Remember, we went to see him when he was here.
Before that, he was playing in really small underground clubhouses
for
a short time, and then he's come back to possibly even a bigger level than before, right? It's Netflix now. He's doing Netflix specials. It's not YouTube anymore.
Well, I mean, he was never doing YouTube specials, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's what made him famous, though, right?
What,
Unless
YouTube?
you're a Def Jam comedy fan and you.
I think it's the Dave Chappelle show that broadcasted him to the world like that.
I don't know. Wasn't it Killing Me Softly? Killing Me Softly was on YouTube, so that's how I thought everyone would have.
For stand-up.
Yeah,
but when he became
stand-up.
the international sensation
after
that he
it
is.
was Dave Chappelle show, right? The Chappelle show. Chappelle show was amazing, for the record.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I had some
Exactly.
some classic, legendary sketches in there.
So.
But so basically that's one point that he mentions, right? And then he moves on to talk a lot about what is referred as cancel culture. So it's this whole idea about the internet, that you can't, the way the internet works, that it's a big mass of just opinions and that tend to converge into one single opinion, and you can't have a thought that goes against the majority, otherwise you get bashed. Yeah, so what happened to Kevin Hart, what's happening to Dave Chappelle today, all these people who are speaking out, against a certain community, and they're being bashed for it by internet trolls, basically, or bloggers. Yeah.
You can't say anything, right?
You can't say anything. So it's political correctness.
It's not about you can't say anything. It's the fact that that Kevin Hart said something 10 years ago, right?
And he's being held.
It was distasteful, but I mean, the things that are distasteful today, right, weren't necessarily distasteful before, right? I don't want to give examples because this could be the same thing happening to me as well. Hey, you said on that show once. No, I don't want to do that. But there are, things that are considered distasteful today were not considered distasteful 5 to 10 years ago. Definitely not 15, 20 years ago. 100%, right? So. Should we be held accountable for these things? That's the whole thing with Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle says similar things as well, right? Yeah. What was that part in the show? I watched it. What did he say? He said he was speaking to Renee, his marketing or PR?
Yeah, his PR
advisor,
lady,
right? His PR lady, and
about using the F word.
You can't use the word. Yeah, the F word. FAGGOT word, and
you can't just spell it out and say.
Well, the F word is something else, right? It's not just.
Yeah, it's a program with.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't.
It's a culinary show.
You can't say that. So he said, "Okay, well, that's fine. I'll just take it out," because he didn't really care about using that or not, right?
Yeah.
It didn't hold any value for him to use that word or not use it. So he just said, "Okay, let's take it out and switch it to something else." And just as he was walking out, she said to him, he turned around and said, "Just out of curiosity, Renee, how come I'm not allowed to use the FAGGOT word?"
You don't have to spell out the second one.
Okay, I'm not allowed to use the word faggot, but
you can't spell out this word either.
All right. No. Well.
But he's not allowed to say.
I'm not allowed to say that. He said I'm allowed to say the word faggot, but I am allowed to say the word the N word.
Yeah.
Right? And then she said, "Yeah, but that's because you're not a faggot."
Yeah.
And he turns around and says, "Well, Renee,
I'm
not an N word either."
That was classic. I think that was the sweetest point in the whole show.
It was.
I love that point. That mark. And the way he marked.
It's a deep point.
I know. And then he just walked out in it. He just did it and then left the stage.
But then he refers to himself as the N word
all the time,
5 times more in the same show. Right?
I know. But it just goes to show it's just it's language at the end of the day, right? And I think people were offended by the language. That's what it is. It's just the way he used certain words and everything that he.
I don't like these words anyway, to be honest. So they try not to use them in general.
Yeah, I mean in general, that's the thing, right?
Fun or not, I just don't agree with them.
But I think what they were trying to say is that you use those words to kind of redirect the
discourse.
Yeah, or at least to redirect how heavy the word is, right? Or the background it has. That you reshape it into your own definition of it. And
well, look, I think I understand comedians. I think comedians should be given, a little bit more slack, shall I say, because they're trying to make jokes, right? And if you subscribe to this guy's views, fine, that's something, blah, blah. But I think in general, we should try to be a bit more respectful. Why do we need to give people, so you can still have fun, you can still make comedy, you can still bust jokes.
Yeah.
A lot of things you do without labeling someone racially, right? Labeling racial slurs or slurs based on their, I don't know, sexual preferences, religions, whatever. I mean, if you take all these things away, then it's going to be tough because you don't have much comedy, I understand.
And that's what I mean, is at which point do you say, okay,
line, right? Yeah,
and where do you draw the line? And then how do you say that somebody definitely thinks what he's saying? Why can't you say something that you think is funny without necessarily meaning it. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, true.
You can find something funny, and that's what he also argues in the show. And here I'm defending him in this sense, but he's actually saying, in most of these topics, I see myself in them, and this is why it's easy for me to, poke fun at them, because it's topics that you can say the word, but you don't necessarily mean anything by it, right? So
yeah, but the problem is, it's okay. All right, a comedian does it. But then other people will go outside and start using it as well. Like, we repeat the jokes. We love Dave Chappelle. We start cracking jokes. We start repeating the jokes.
Yeah.
To each other is fine. No one's going to know. It's not televised. You're not doing it on YouTube. Nothing. But then you go out into a bigger circle, and then you start saying the same jokes again. Of course, some people are going to say, "Who the hell is this guy? Like, talking, using these words, using the N word, using the F word, whatever." You can't do that. So that's the thing. Where do you draw the line? Is it okay for comedians to do it, but it's not okay for the public to do it, or to do it to people you don't know?
That's a good point.
It's important, man.
That's the question.
That's why I think just at the minimum level of respect. I love to make jokes. I make stupid jokes all the time, but I do so without. I'm not saying I'm a comedian like some of these guys. Some of the level these guys are. Of course, I'm not. I'll never say that. But
you like to bust shows.
I think like many people we know, right? We can do it without disrespecting each other. That's what I think.
I also agree. But he's a comedian.
Yeah.
So this is
Dave
a
Chappelle,
good point.
he's making points, and the thing is. Yeah, it's difficult to have this conversation, to be honest, because
no, but the point that you're making is very true.
Difficult.
But it's true, because he's a comedian, and from the question you just asked, is it only comedians who are allowed to do it, or can the general public as well do it? I think this is where you need to draw the line.
The general public do it on a public platform, is what I'm saying.
I think this is where you have to draw the line. I think comedians can do it because they're using.
How would you draw that line?
Well, because they use.
How could you draw that line? That could never be written.
Why not?
Law. What, comedians can use jokes, but public can't? Impossible.
Anyway, it's not a law. You're not. He can say whatever he wants. There's nothing. No one's gonna tell him. He's not gonna get a court case, because actually he probably did, but no one's gonna. No one's gonna.
Loads of people trying to sue him.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he's not breaking any laws by saying a certain word, right? He's just offending people, maybe.
Sure.
So I think that you can actually draw the line. By saying something like, okay, when you're a comedian, if you are a comedian, and you go on stage and you're using your platform to, poke fun at whatever it is that you want to poke fun at, then that should be allowed.
Be responsible.
You're just so long as you're voicing your opinion, it's a profession. You're using it responsibly, the same way that being a journalist.
If too responsible, is he still a comedian?
Exactly. Yeah, but the same way that journalists, they have ethics.
Yeah.
And standards.
Russell Peters, for example, this guy is funny.
Yeah.
He's not as funny as Dave Chappelle to me, but he is. He relies on, stereotypes.
Yeah.
He relies on stereotypes. He uses
on
Indian
some
stereotypes, Middle Eastern stereotypes, Filipino stereotypes, Chinese stereotypes. That's what he does. That's his comedy style, and he pulls off the accents pretty well.
Yeah, that's true. He does a good job at that. But then you don't get offended by it, because again, that it's his personality. He doesn't mean it.
How about we change it completely to people shouldn't be so offended, instead of saying that these guys should be. People shouldn't be so offended. Yeah, people, when a comedian says something, don't be offended. Which is, I kind of guess that was your point earlier, right?
And I think they should have a license to use certain type of language, and they should somehow
a license to use that. I can't see that ever happening.
I mean, it's impractical. But what I'm just trying to say is,
you're trying to find a way out for Dave Chappelle. I understand that. Yeah, trust me, I'm there too. I would love to. He's getting so much flack.
Poking hole in the argument,
for a long time. Then he came back and did 2 Netflix specials, Equanimity and the Birds. I can't remember what it's called. The Bird Song. Equanimity and the Bird Song or some shit like that. Anyway, check it. And then he disappeared for a long time, and then he came back and did this one, the most recent Netflix special, right?
But he didn't disappear for a long time. He was just practicing but he still was
one. Off. I mean,
because that was actually, just so you know, 90% of what he did there, he did it in Japan, right?
Yeah.
He tested it out on us before he took it to the big stage.
True. But still, I mean, it doesn't take 7 months to write a comedy. Does it? Does it take 7 months?
No, but I think what they do is that once they've written, they go in different smaller venues and they see the feedback they get.
My point is, anyway, I see your point. My point is that the fact that he disappeared for a while, whatever he was doing,
came back
in Africa or wherever he was doing.
Why Africa? Again,
because that's where he was last time.
Africa, but so he always goes back to Africa.
Go back to Africa. That's
See
good.
this guy?
No. So anyway, hold on. No. This is the thing. So basically, I lost my point because you made me go around circles.
I don't know why you took it back to Africa.
So yeah, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
He disappears and then he comes back and then he says like, "Let me do an impression of you guys, right?
Yeah.
Let me do an impression." And he says the first impression is of when they were writing the Constitution. It says I can do an impression of the founding fathers when they were writing the Constitution. So anyway, we're not going to repeat that one. But anyway, the second one was, he said people were just complaining all the time, right?
Yeah.
And he said, who's this impression of? He said, it's of you guys because you guys give me a tough time.
That's the cancel culture.
That's it, yeah. Whatever I do, if I do something small, that's it. You're never going to let me forget it. It's going to be in every single video I post in the comments, anything, whatever, right? So he's, I think that's...
And why is there zero tolerance for celebrities when it comes to... There's a zero tolerance culture for making mistakes or having made past mistakes. They need to be perfect role models. Why do we put such...
It's not just celebrities, anyone,
expectations
even people,
on them?
just general YouTubers who are not like this idiot Logan Paul, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember this idiot Logan Paul?
Bro, do you know they got another fight on Match, sponsored by Mushroom, bro?
Wait, let's stick on what I'm talking. He deserves the flack he gets. He filmed a dead body in the suicide forest.
In, near Fuji?
Yeah, Fuji. Was it Aokigahara? And he went there and then he filmed a dead body and he goes, "Wow, look, do you think she's really dead?" And he was playing around with the corpse. I mean, he didn't touch the corpse, but he was getting very close to the corpse and they were cracking up. They were making jokes. You can see it. The video's online. I think it's still online anyway. So then he came, after he got all the flack online, he apologized for it. But I'm not sure. A lot of people forgave him. Not sure if he gained new followers, whatever.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, you do deserve the flack. It doesn't matter if you do something.
How old
dumb,
is this guy again?
If you do something dumb, he's a young guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like, again, this is a mistake, a clear mistake that he made. Yeah. If he, shows whatever form of remorse, then he should be forgiven. We just move on from it, and then he won't make the same mistakes in the past. But you're not gonna.
As long as he doesn't try and make the same mistakes, it's okay, right?
That's the point. Is that so long as you get the point and that you move forward, you move forward. What I like actually, and this is another side of the argument about this cancel culture, is the accountability. Is that it makes it harder for people in places of power or who have got more power than you and I, like celebrities. It gives them less opportunity to abuse that power because they're held accountable. They're in the spotlight, and they need to behave in a certain way. Otherwise they'll get cancelled, basically.
Sure.
And I think this is a good thing. Yeah. However, I think you need to find a balance somehow. I think there's also a lot of hate. This is what we were joking about in the first podcast about like a lot of haters. Just people are just venting on the internet, right? Bloggers are just there. They just don't like something and they write about it, and then that's it. You're dead. I think that's one point we need to
anyway, we're going to see
balance.
What's going to happen. Dave Chappelle's probably going to get a lot. He might disappear for.
Oh wow! So another point is that he touched upon was the, and this is a point that I think is dear to your heart, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
So he was defending Friends, basically. Yeah, no, that's how I saw it.
I grew up listening to Michael Jackson music. I liked him. I still think that there aren't a lot of artists that produce the kind of music Michael Jackson produced, the kind of messages he delivered.
Yeah.
About peace around the world, about no difference between black and white. A lot. I mean, you can go through. He's got albums of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I've always appreciated him. With these cases. Right, with these cases against him.
Sorry, cases? You mean, what are you talking about specifically? You're talking about
Geordie Chandler and Gavin Arvizo specifically.
Okay.
Right?
So
before Finding Neverland, right?
Okay.
So these cases for me were very suspicious. Of course, like I've got children. I've got 2 children. I've been an uncle since I was 6 years old, right? 6.5 years old. I love children, and if I heard that anyone was a danger to children, oh man, it would make me. It makes me sick. I can't stand the thought of paedophiles of being near them. It's just you want to smash them, and I think legally you'd be allowed to. We should be allowed to, right? Yeah. Okay. So anyone that, and if I felt that Michael Jackson was a paedophile, I'd be the first person. If I felt myself, of course, I'd be like, oh, this guy's disgusting. Hate his music, hate everything. But again, I looked deeply into this, right? I looked into it. I wanted to know, like, this guy who makes such pure music, he seems to be a very good guy, does a lot for charity, held massive events, right? Got all celebrities. He does a lot of things, right? You don't see a lot of today, right?
Yeah.
And is he really a paedophile? So I started looking at these things, and there's no real evidence. And Geordie Chandler's family, Gavin Arvizo's family, they happily took money right? They happily took money and then disappeared. I don't know if they happily took it, but they took the money and then they disappeared. They quietened up, right? But then we go for, on the other day.
And you got acquitted as well.
Where we had Catherine on the podcast the other day, who was a rape victim, right?
Yeah.
She was raped by a single person, right? By a guy. And she chased this guy for 12 years.
Yeah.
She even went to court on numerous occasions, and she didn't take a single. She was
won.
given $200,000. She was about to be given $200,000, but she said no. I want only $1 so I can chase this guy and get him put behind bars, because that's more important to me.
It's about the principle.
Exactly, and also what the effect it had in her life as well, man, and the fact that she doesn't want this to happen to the people. So if someone, God forbid, I don't even want to think about it, but if someone did something like this to my kid, I wouldn't take. I don't care if it's $5 million, $10 million. I bet you I'm speaking for loads of parents as well, right? Yeah, how could you take money for this? I want to see this guy.
It's like cashing out.
I want to see this guy behind bars. I want to see him dead. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Legally, the death penalty or whatever. But I would chase this guy down. I wouldn't let it go. And if stuff like this, Finding Neverland comes back up again, these guys should wake up again. And say, well, actually, this did happen, but they're quiet. They took money and they shut up, right? Yeah. So that's why it's suspicious. I'm not accusing them of being liars, but I'm saying it's suspicious. Yeah. And then Finding Neverland comes out. This guy's dead, all right? Finding Neverland comes out.
Is it Finding or Leaving Neverland?
Sorry, Leaving Neverland.
You're leaving, okay.
Finding Neverland must be someone else. I don't know what that is. I think that's the Robin Williams movie.
So that's like Finding...
Why you bring humor into this point?
She's the one who's drinking.
Finding Neverland is the Peter Pan movie.
Making sure it's correct, right. Okay, bro. Finding Neverland is Peter Pan, which is...
I'm so annoyed by this Finding Neverland movie. No, but Leaving Neverland, okay?
Yeah.
I refuse to watch it because I checked, first of all, what evidence do they have? I want to see the evidence against Michael Jackson, because right now all they've done is painted a disgusting picture of this guy. I heard it's very graphic. I heard that, even Dave Chappelle mentions it. I heard it's very graphic, talking about, genitals and showing and doing stuff that no one should ever be doing with any children ever, right? But they were discussing these things, but there's no evidence of this, right? And don't forget, Michael Jackson had his house raided by the FBI randomly, not like, oh yeah, we're going to come to your house in 2 weeks,
and then you got time to
just to let you know we're going to be there in 2 weeks. No, none of this happening randomly. He's never found anything, right? And then Dave Chappelle makes an excellent point as well. Macaulay Culkin was one of his closest friends, right?
Yeah.
He stands by him. His brothers stand by him. I mean, brothers would, right? But still, you'd think there'd be like a chink in the armor somewhere at some point. Someone would say, well, all right, let me speak about this. Let me tell you. Nothing. His sisters, so...
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So what is...
And that's the point he makes, yeah?
There's no fact. This is all opinion, and it's taken just a renewed anger and hate against the dead man, right?
That's the thing. Is that he's dead. Just let him rest in peace kind of thing, right? There's just...
These guys are making money for him. What is this? Wade and Robson? What are they called? Safe Chuck and Wade, right? And these guys, Wade has called himself the
deceiver,
master of
deception.
Master of deception, right? Yeah. He's labeled himself there. He's had feuds with Michael Jackson and family, right? Yeah. There's loads of reasons to be pissed off, and now he comes out with all this stuff, even though he's defended, and they're proven lies. They had depositions. They lied. Don't forget that they lied.
Yeah, exactly. They were under oath.
Exactly.
No, that's it. That's what I'm saying.
Why?
At the end of the day, I think he made a fair point, right, in his sketch as well, right, and that's the I think he was defending, of course, calling these guys out.
I got a bit heated there, man.
No, but you're right. That's exactly that's where, because I know you were passionate about this topic.
I could speak about it for hours, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it comes down to evidence. Where's the evidence? Show me the evidence. If
and these guys,
you need to shut them up.
He clearly called these guys liars. Yeah. For him, he said, I think these guys are lying. I don't believe it. And it's the same thing, similar to what you're saying as well. Like, there's no evidence. They didn't come out with any proofs. And in the past, their character shows that they're not beyond
especially
lying.
Wade, right?
Yeah?
Yeah.
So anyway, let's leave it at that. I think that was one point. I think he was trying to defend his friend. He also, Kevin Hart, because he defended him as well during the
Kevin Hart, man. He had an accident recently as well.
I hope he recovers quickly from that as well. Yeah. Him and I think there was a friend. That was his fiance as well in the car. I hope they recover quickly from this.
What I was going to add to that is, there was a lot of comments of people that were happy that you had the accident. Can you believe that?
But that's what I mean. That's the whole thing. The internet is sick sometimes because of that.
You can just say what you want with impunity.
Yeah.
That's it. You say whatever you want.
You have no... And that's another thing. At the same time, you hold...
Regulated. There you go. That should be regulated.
That should be... Yeah,
rather than comedians, what they say and so on and so forth. That is what I would say, you know?
Because actually, there's a lot of people...
Fake accounts, people spitting out hatred.
And you know what I'm... You know another thing as well? I remember seeing... I think it was a TED Talk with Monica Lewinsky. Yeah, and she was saying that she was the first victim of internet bullying, in a sense, right? Because her case, like of, you know, probably the most famous blowjob in the history of blowjobs, was broadcasted really to the whole world because it was at the time where internet was taking off, right? It's true. And she made a case, bro. Don't laugh about this, bro. I'm trying to make a point here, bro.
You said it in a humorous fashion, so you made me laugh.
But I'm just the point she was making. Which is similar, again, I find a correlation to what we're discussing today, is that there's...
Bro, what's that red mark on your hand? Sorry.
Is that relevant now? So she's trying to make... Anyway, she's trying to make a point that the internet doesn't realize it, but because everyone is... there's no one's really accountable on the internet. You're behind your PC, you're writing, no one knows who you are, right? There's no face to it. That you can... bully people into literally committing suicide. There's a lot of people who actually committed suicide. Again, who knows, maybe this Anthony Bourdain topic is about, you know, he couldn't take the pressures, you know, of people that were commenting on whatever lifestyle he was living or something. What you mentioned just now, somebody saying, you know, that he deserved this car crash when, you know, who deserves to be in a car crash? You know, we're not God. We can't we can't do these type of judgments on people. So when the internet starts to do this, you know, some people are constituted differently, and psychologically they might be weaker, or they might be more fragile, in a fragile state, and you know, it can lead to, you know, fatal consequences. So this is the thing. I get your point. You need to regulate it somehow, but it's but how do you regulate the internet?
Same thing, right? Anyway, we can discuss this for hours. I think these internet fiends, right, which cause issues. And
that's why.
So finishing off with Juicy Smollett. Juicy Smollett.
It's the I forgot his French name. It's Juicy Smollett. What do you call him?
Juicy Smollett.
Juicy Smollett. That's not. That's just the Cockney version, bro.
Sounds like some kind of nasty.
Juicy Smollett.
Some nasty fruit smoothie. Basically, I hadn't heard of this guy before. Before. I didn't know any.
That was a funny part.
It was obviously a publicity stunt, right? When you think about it, right?
I mean, it was seen as very opportunistic. That's for sure. I don't know what was going on. What was the reason?
Well, I mean, they
behind
caught
it?
the guys. They said they were wearing MAGA hats. They were Nigerians.
I'm not gonna review it.
No, say the first part. What did they say?
He said it's MAGA country. No, but see, what I like about that is his cultural sensitivity.
This is MAGA country.
Because he did the accent pretty well, right? You know, I don't know. It was funny.
That's what
what Dave Chappelle. Who carries bleach? I mean, okay, at 4 a.m. or 2 a.m. in the morning.
What do you mean? Who carries? The only time you carry bleach is when you buy it from the supermarket
and you take it straight home.
And even these days, you can just order on Amazon. There's no need to be walking on the road with bleach. Who walks
at 2 a.m. in the winter, bro, in Chicago, bro? That's just ridiculous. So the deposition must have been funny, man. The guy who took his deposition as well must have been cracking up. No, but then...
So what? No, but he's behind bars now anyway, right?
No.
No,
Why?
he is. I heard he got arrested. Yeah, he was. Even when we saw Dave Chappelle live, he was talking about
Juicy Smollett?
Juicy Smollett. He was arrested for wasting police... check it. We should check
All right, let's fact check that.
Right now, you can see the correct link. Bang.